Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. Please be seated. You know what time it is. Now is the moment for you to wake from sleep. Now is the time when we switch gears from the glory of Christ the King last Sunday, all back to follow, and we start the church year all over again with the first Sunday of Advent. Have you ever considered what a strange place this is, like objectively, to begin the liturgical year? The first page of my fancy planner that I got from the Seminarian bookstore is November 30th, today. Of all days, what a weird place to start. Not a remarkable day, really. It's not All Saints or Christmas or Easter or Pentecost or any of the other excellent places to start in the story of Christ and the church. And I know some of you are just itching with the answer. Of course. Oh, but it's not Mary's Magnificat. We don't get that in this year's lectionary until week 3. And, of course, Annunciation was back in March because, well, math. So, why start here on this unremarkable day and when our surrounding culture actually considers, as it falls this year, the end of the next to last month of the calendar year? Well, friends, get ready. Because even though it may seem like nothing is going on besides your seminarians feverishly preparing for finals, in the words of a popular hymn, the world is about to turn. How do we know the world is about to turn? Well, how do you know a hurricane is coming from a change in the breeze? How do you know that the sudden and dramatic withdrawal of water from a harbor portends an unstoppable tsunami inevitably speeding to cover the land and sweep it away? How do you know that what started as a single imperceptible cell in the womb of a nondescript young girl in a rural backwater vassal state of a distant nation, that one little cell, smaller than a mustard seed, that pregnancy, which won't even show for months, will develop into a baby who turns into the man who will change the entire course of the universe? Those who know. And you can call it hope, and it certainly is. But not hope in the way that the world more properly says, I wish something would happen. I wish that God would scatter the proud and cast down the mighty and lift up the lowly and fill the hungry with good things. No, that's not how it went. It's not a wish, but an expectation based on faith in a God who brings justice and fulfills promises. A hope clutched firmly to the breast of a young girl with a world-changing secret growing inside her. It was a normal day. People were eating and drinking and marrying and being given in marriage and threshing fields and grinding meal, and all the while Mary felt her body change and waited in quiet anticipation of the kicks and the pangs that would ultimately see her hope delivered in a form that she could not only see, but hold in her arms. But it starts in the dark, in the hidden places, in the quiet, in faith without seeing, on an ordinary day. An invitation to live knowing that it's not ordinary at all. Therefore, you must be ready, for the Son of Man is coming at an unexpected hour, and the world is about to turn. So how then do we live in this invisible expectancy? How do we keep awake? How do we keep the lantern of our souls fueled and radiant for the day when the narrative of salvation breaks in upon our mundane lives, like that tsunami washing upon the shore of everything we know? How does one grasp hold of a hope we can't see when it seems like nothing around us is changing in any kind of good way? Well, Anne Frank, just a child herself, speaking from the despair-filled depths of one of the darkest and most brutal parts of the long fallen history of humanity, once said, "How wonderful it is that nobody need wait a single moment before starting to improve the world." That message found me folded up in a beautiful beaded pouch that I purchased at the synagogue 2 Fridays ago when our little group from St. Christopher's visited. We had to walk around to the side doors and share Shabbat with our hosts in an adjacent hall because the main chapel had been vandalized. Its beautiful hardwood door is still scarred and scorched from fire, and the upper portions of 2 stained glass windows out of 5, just 2, leaned against the wall of a room that was never meant or designed to serve as the main worship space. And yet the mood was jubilant. And as we watched, an infant was brought forward with his family to receive a name and to be welcomed into the community. The mother, speaking over her son, said that each child was a message sent from God to say that to the community that God is not discouraged in us. The very life of that child pushes back the pall of despair and proclaims the promises of God still stand. And the love that he and his family received from the community overwhelmed the terror of hate. Even though the very timbers of that place still held the stale odor of smoke, even then the world was turning. No one knows the day or the hour, but the tide is turning. So today is as good a day as any to start. Congregation Beth Israel reminds us that in a world that is increasingly hurtling toward ever-increasing division and hate, even sharing in community with one another and offering hospitality to strangers can be seen as dangerously revolutionary acts. Acts that defy the order of the day. Being present for and with one another, well, that's almost a lost art. We spend our time consuming content tailor-made for our vanities so that we can be conditioned to purchase goods we don't need, specifically marketed to us by companies that have purchased our personal information without our consent. And let me tell you, unity doesn't sell. Anger, gatekeeping, division, and self-righteousness, so much self-righteousness, that's what sells. The narrative that says, I'm right and you're worthless. And that's the world, and I can't wait for it to turn. On the other hand, giving healing as recompense for hate and injury is something that a hopeful people do. Giving your hard-earned money away to serve those left behind and left in need requires trusting in an economy that transcends the bank balance and the credit score. Seeing the image of God in the person who does you wrong requires a set of eyes that we're not necessarily born with. You really have to trust in something beyond the obvious order of the world. It just doesn't make any good, decent common sense in a world that's so often dog eat dog, unless there's something else besides survival of the fittest at play. Unless you suspect, and perhaps even have the audacity to expect, that there's another triumphant, transcending, life-giving, scarcity-defeating kingdom, unless the world is about to turn. Advent is about knowing that no day is just another day of threshing grain and grinding meal. It's about living a life in holy anticipation. Because while the people in the Lucan birth narrative were sweating in the dirt and making a very mundane and overcrowded commute, some of us can empathize with that this weekend, to do a government-mandated census, fun, they couldn't see in that moment the angelic choirs massing to sing Glorias, to hail a most astounding, world-changing, tide-turning Advent. God in Jesus assumed our everyday so that we might make of every day a sacramental act of living in radical love and Eucharistic community. The spirit of Advent is that the kingdom is not yet and still now. Put on the armor of light and join in the heavenly ruckus. We needn't wait a single moment to take part in the world's turning, and indeed we mustn't. Because the incarnation of Jesus hallows every day, and the day of the Lord has come, and the day of the Lord is coming, and the world is about to turn. Amen.
Amen.